The Emergency Scene Simulator is a crucial portion of every fire officer exam throughout the country. While some testing components of the exam may or may not be present during the testing process, you can assume with a high degree of certainty that you will encounter an emergency scene simulator on your assessment center exam. The Emergency Scene Simulator is the cornerstone of the fire officer promotional exam. The way that you manage an emergency scene is one of the ways that you will be defined as a fire officer by your peers and by the rest of the fire department. A fire officer who is unable to effectively manage an emergency scene places fire department personnel, the public, and the organization at risk. Since the skills needed to manage an emergency scene are so critical, and the margin for error during emergencies is so small, we often see that the simulator is scored higher than other portions of the exam. As an example, the oral interview, in-basket, or role-play exercises may each comprise 15 to 25% of the total exam score, while the emergency scene simulator may be as high as 50% or more. This means that the points awarded in the emergency scene simulator may be worth 2 to 3 times more than the other portions of the exam. Additionally, it is common for there to be fail points in the simulator, but not in most of the other aspects of the exam. As a result of this disparity in scoring, it is critical that you master the emergency scene simulator in order to achieve the highest score possible during your assessment center. The Emergency Scene Simulator section of the AspiringFireOfficers.com Assessment Center preparation will provide you with 50 examples of how to manage the most common and uncommon emergencies you can expect to see during your promotional exam. In addition, we will present them in the most common formats used today so that you are prepared to respond appropriately, regardless of the format used in your exam. We deliver each scenario in a dynamic and static format. In the dynamic simulator, there is interaction between you as the incident commander and fire dispatch and all the units that are assigned to the incident. This is meant to simulate a real incident and the stresses that accompany being the incident commander. The initial IC remains in the hot seat and manages the incident from start to finish. In the dynamic simulator, you will hear an actual dispatch and then the first unit arrives on scene and provides an initial report. This is followed by dispatch repeating the initial report, just like would happen in a live incident. In real-time format, additional units arrive on scene. The incident commander places each company, assigns them an ICS designation when appropriate, realistic objectives, and benchmarks. Each incident progresses as it would in a typical emergency scene simulation. Each scenario has one or more developments that occur during the simulation. Developments cover things like locating a victim, fire extension to the floor above, a firefighter falling through the roof, as well as a myriad of other typical emergency scene simulation developments. The initial incident commander manages the incident until the battalion chief arrives on scene. Once the battalion chief arrives on scene, the initial incident commander gives a turnover to the BC. This is accompanied by on-screen graphics that will help you track units and account for each member operating on the fire ground. The evaluators then quiz the candidate on his tactics, strategies, and assignments. This is an example of what you can expect during your emergency scene simulations. Following the dynamic scenario, each incident is subsequently managed in a static format. In this format, there is no radio traffic from other units. It is our experience at AspiringFireOfficers.com that this format is becoming increasingly more popular than the dynamic format. The static emergency scene simulator requires fewer support personnel to manage radios, and there is less of a chance of a technical failure or role player inadvertently assisting or hindering a candidate. In the static format, the candidate is expected to provide an initial report and then describe how he or she would assign each unit that arrives on scene. This is similar to teaching a class to the evaluators and how to manage the incident. As you can imagine, this can be very intimidating if you are not confident with your tactics and strategies. The candidate is prompted to give in-depth explanations as to what he or she could expect from each company. This format gives the evaluators a very in-depth view into the candidate's thoughts and ideas when it comes to managing emergencies. At the end of each scenario, the incident commander is challenged by the panel, similar to what you could expect in your exam. The candidate confidently, yet humbly, answers each question. We are confident that the in-depth information, descriptions of our actions and justifications for them in the follow-up question will provide invaluable insight to the members of the AspiringFireOfficers.com. This information and shared experiences that we provide will certainly help to boost your confidence during the exam and as you transition into the position of fire officer.